Liesel looked at her phone for what felt like the 100th time and frowned at the time on the display. It was odd her mother had not responded to her text messages at all for an entire day. It was weirder still her husband of 5 years had not responded either. They were both attentive and loving towards her, and so she found their silence odd. Moreover, her husband Merlin was late. If he was late, he always called or messaged her. This felt off somehow, and her stomach flipped nervously, yet again. She got up from the sofa where she'd been trying to kill her nerves with Netflix on her laptop when she heard the door open. She walked to the edge of the study and looked to see Merlin walking in with a somber expression. "Hey babe, you're late and didn't answer my messages. Is everything okay?" "No," he shook his head. "Can you come to my office with me?" He motioned for her to follow to what she often dubbed his inner sanctum. Considering the fact he'd made love to her for hours the night before, his cold demeanor right now as he led the way, not even pausing to kiss her hello, had her thoroughly confused. He motioned for her to take a seat in the chair opposite his desk, and she made wide eyes. "Merle, you're scaring me. What's going on?" "We're getting divorced," he said bluntly. She laughed. There was no way he was serious considering in the 8 years they had been together, 5 of them married, he'd never once raised his voice and they'd never had a real argument. Their biggest fight ever had been the one time he forgot to put the toilet seat down and she'd fallen into the toilet in the middle of the night. Even then he'd apologized so profusely after she'd stopped freaking out, they'd ended up having incredible makeup sex in the shower where she'd gone to clean up. She stopped laughing and stared at him. "I'm sorry, what?" "Divorced. I just need your signature on these papers." He slid a stack across the desk. "You are welcome to talk to a lawyer, of course. The prenup we signed will stand. You get the house, and you can keep your car, and you'll get a monthly allowance for 5 years. "I don't understand." He held another document in his hand. "This is a paternity test." "What does this have to do with me?" She was frowning as she looked at the way his fingers trembled, just slightly. What is going on? She herself was starting to shake now. "I had an indiscretion at your sister's wedding in Turks and Caicos 6 weeks ago." "You cheated on me?" She was going to vomit. "At my sister's wedding?" "Yes." She got up from her seat and wrapped her arms around her middle. "This isn't happening. I fucked up and had too much to drink and I didn't wear a condom. She is pregnant. I had a rush done on the paternity. It has come back as mine." "You told me you didn't want children for another 3 years." She turned to face him angrily. "I did say this, and I stand by what I said. It's unfortunately a done deal. I made an error in judgment, but I can't let another man raise my child. We are getting divorced, and I will be marrying the mother of my child." "How can you sit here so coldly and tell me this? Do you think this is easy for me? It sure as fuck doesn't look like it's all too hard, considering how frigid you're being. I'm not one of your multi-million-dollar business transactions, Merle, where you simply remove the emotion from the equation. I'm your wife." "Your wife?" She had always thought the way he could remove emotions during a negotiation was sexy and powerful, but right now, being on the receiving end of his harsh, calculating mannerisms felt like agonizing cruelty. "Not after you sign this. If I sign those, you get the fuck out right now." He blinked at her words. "Now? Did you not say I get the house? Surely you will want to go see Janka or Elsie while things get sorted. They can come here. I'm not the one who screwed around. You can leave. My office is here and must clear it out. You can come on the weekend with a moving truck and take the contents of this office as well as your clothes and toiletries, but the rest, all the furniture, dishes, every fucking knick-knack, knife, fork, spoon, stays in this house with me." "I understand you're angry, Liesel. I am trying to be respectful. I ask the same of you." "Respectful? You fucked someone else," she screamed at the top of her lungs, gasping for air as her mind swirled. "At my sister's wedding and got them pregnant. 8 years. 8 years you never once touched me without a condom, and you forgot?" She gripped her stomach as she struggled not to release the contents all over his prized office. Oh my God, she had a thought and glared at him. "We had sex every single day we were there, sometimes twice. Did you fuck me after fucking her? Liesel, I'm sorry. He said quietly, not breaking his stony F.A. Ade. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, and the best way I can fix this is by being honest with you, by telling you the truth. There is no point in prolonging things. I can't have my child born a bastard. They must have my name. My grandfather's will was specific. Any child born out of wedlock will get nothing. It means the $1 million in trust for my child will not be allowed to be touched. I cannot punish a child for their father's transgressions. And this woman is keen to marry you too? She's all gun-ho, is she? She is not thrilled with the prospect, but once I explained the money and the benefits, she was more open. She is letting her husband know this evening, probably right now, as well, and we will be married within 6 weeks barring complications. How could you do this? She tried so hard not to cry and angrily brushed the tears streaking her cheeks away. I thought you loved me, and I thought everything we had was good. Why would you go to someone else? God, she groaned and rubbed her forehead. In all this time, I never once considered sleeping with anyone else. Not once. I gave up everything for you. Stopped working at the law firm because the hours cut into the time you wanted to be with me. Scheduled my time at Jenka's art gallery around your schedule. I've been at your beck and call like a bitch to be mounted, and you've been having sex with someone else. He was silent as she vented her frustrations. She waved her hand at him, trying to not let him get the upper hand. If he could be this cold sitting there, so could she. Just go pack whatever you'll need for the next 5 days and get out. It would be easier if you went to one of the girls. It's too bad I'm not here to make things easier for you, isn't it? She turned to face him, and when he remained seated, she shrieked so loudly her voice felt scraped, her vocal cords straining. Get the fuck out of my house! Liesel, for what it's worth, I do love you. This was an error in judgment, but unfortunately, a costly one. Save your condescending bullshit for the lawyers. I don't need it. Get out. She plumped down on the leather sofa. She was shaking with unbridled rage, shock, and if she were honest, heartbreak. I need your signature. I will call Elsie to come make sure you're not fucking me over, and then I'll sign them. She loved this man with all her heart and soul, and he had just coldly, callously ripped her world to shreds without a second thought. He rose from his desk and slowly walked to the door of his office, and he was almost there when a thought occurred to her. I knew every single person at my sister's wedding. Who betrayed me with you? Which one of my sister's whorish girlfriends fucked my husband? He paused, his hand on the doorframe as he clutched it, for the first time white-knuckled as he admitted quietly, Sandy. The room spun dangerously, and she gasped for breath. My sister? His single nod was all it took for the world she had thought broken to shatter. She slumped off the sofa to the floor, gasping for breath as she let out an ear-piercing scream of pain and sobbed her heart out while he walked away. Finished reviewing the final document and then nodded. It matches the prenup terms in the event of adultery. He isn't screwing you over, at least not in here. Motherfucker. She whispered the last word under her breath as she pushed the papers across the kitchen table towards Liesel. I'm so sorry, love. Liesel held Janka's hand under the table and sniffed. I never saw it coming. He fucked her at her wedding reception. Did he say it was the first time? Janka asked as Elsie pointed out all the places Liesel needed to sign. I didn't ask. While I waited for you to get here, I sat here thinking of every interaction, and I'm confident it's been going on for at least a year. They both disappeared at my cousin's wedding. Remember, he was late coming to Mom's birthday dinner, and she had disappeared for 20 minutes, but then someone said they'd seen his car in the yard? He was probably there screwing her somewhere in Mom's house. Jesus Christ. Janka whispered. I thought you two had the perfect marriage. He couldn't keep his hands off you. Sandy and Roddy were on and off again so many times. Each time they broke up, she was out sleeping around. She stared at the ceiling, aware the tears were still streaming down her face. Thank heavens, he always used a condom with me. Or I'd probably have caught one of her diseases. You should get tested anyway, Elsie grunted. Who does this to her own sister? Sandy does, Liesel grimaced. She's been after my things since the day she was born, and Mom always made me share. She exhaled, though it takes two to tango, and he is as culpable as she is. True. Elsie squeezed her hand. Do you think he's still waiting in the car for the papers? Yes. She nodded and started to get up. I'll bring them to him. No, Elsie stood. As your legal representative, it is my pleasure to take them to him. This copy is yours. This copy is his. I'll bring him his copy. I will personally file these with the court in the morning. The sooner the better. We'll get this over with. This really hurts. She whimpered as Elsie kissed her forehead before walking out of the kitchen towards the hall. It sucks. It really does, Janka agreed. You don't have to come into work tomorrow if you don't want to. Actually, she blinked back the tears, I need to do something more than sit around this oversized house. Can I get a couple extra shifts? Definitely. She hugged her tightly and pressed Liesel's head to her shoulder. I feel so pathetic. I couldn't keep my dog on a leash, and he strayed with my sister. Your dog needs to be put down, Janka muttered as they sat quietly. Your husband is an asshole. Elsie walked back in. He was annoyed I brought the papers out and not you. He said you're going to be an aunt, so you need to get over it and be able to be civil. Screw him, Janka hissed. We really do need to put the dog down. I can call one of my cousins in Germany, she half-joked. Liesel made a face, which made both of her girlfriends raise eyebrows. Is it wrong? It's been 2 hours since this all started, and all I want to do is plot revenge? Janka pulled her head backwards and stared at her incredulously. You? Revenge? Girl, you are the queen of spouting forgiveness. Are you really going to plot revenge? While he was upstairs packing his shit and I was waiting for you, I noticed my laptop was still open from where I was watching movies. He said twice he needed to pack his office, and I got thinking. And? He has used my laptop more than once to conduct business. He would bring mine along as a backup in case his battery died on flights and stuff. I never look at any of it, but it's not password encrypted or anything. So? Elsie was all ears. I know there are a couple of major business deals he's been working with his father on. If he lands these 2 accounts, he'll be up for promotion. The board of directors has been wanting him to prove himself, but he's just turned 30 and they think he's too young. Janka leaned forward with her hands clenched tight. Liesel continued, I don't know, but maybe there is a way in some of the information he has on my personal laptop to sabotage his career. He's not going to get fired because nepotism is real in the McGrath family. They're powerful millionaires and all, but the last 2 contracts he vied for were blocked by another company. Merle hates this guy. What if I could find a way to get the information to this Mr. Machado guy? Machado? Janka made wide eyes. Not Isaias Machado? Billionaire? Maybe, she shrugged, I'm not sure. I only know about 6 months ago there was a huge contract for a development and this Machado swooped in at the last second and, according to Merle, stole his contract. He did it again about 2 weeks before we went to Turks. He was pissed off. He said everything he was doing now was to get back at this guy. He and his father were going ensuring the 2 deals they were working on were kept top secret so none of the information could filter to Machado. Elsie swallowed. Okay, I know we're just talking out of our asses here because you're hurting and so by default, we are hurting, but if you could find a way to do it, which wouldn't get you into legal trouble, I might know a way to get you near Machado to give him information. Liesel wiped the corners of her gritty, red and swollen eyes. How? My sister Mara's restaurant is one of his favorite places to dine. She specializes in Mediterranean cuisine and he's Portuguese. He goes there a lot. At least once a week. She swallowed the lump in her throat. Shit, really? Yeah, Elsie grinned wickedly. Mara might have disappointed my parents by dropping out of law school to become a chef, but she's created a hell of a following with the rich and elite. She nodded and then sighed. I might not even have anything to give him. Janka ran into the other room and then came back carrying her laptop, just in case he changes passwords or tries to adjust things. She pulled a thumb drive from her purse, put everything and anything you can find on this. We can sort through it later, but at least you'll have whatever he was working on. I'm bad at this stuff. My laptop is for watching movies, and it's probably why he used my computer. He knew I wouldn't go snooping around. It would take me hours. Her voice trailed off as Elsie turned the computer towards her and started hammering away at the keys. What are you doing? If this illegal or could get you in trouble, you could get disbarred. If there is anyone in my life worthy of getting disbarred for, it's you. Besides, his comment about you being an aunt really pissed me off. Does he expect you, him, and your sister to be some kind of happy family? Fuck him. Fuck her. Elsie muttered through gritted teeth as she shoved the thumb drive into the device. Also, fuck your mom for not calling you back when you needed her. I get your sister is pregnant, but she's having her brother-in-law's baby. Shame on her. Shame on all of them. Let's burn the world. He said he had to marry her because his grandfather's will stipulates any child born out of wedlock can't have the money left in trust for them. She whispered, I don't want to ruin a child's life. You're not. Elsie was on a roll now as she clicked and dragged hundreds of files Liesel had no idea were even on her computer to the drive. There are plenty of parents in the world who work at McDonald's flipping burgers. The kid will get his trust fund eventually, but we don't have to make it easy for his parents. This is crazy. Yes, it is. Elsie looked to her with a devious gleam in her eye as she held up the thumb drive. Hide this somewhere, he will never find it when he comes back Saturday with his moving truck. We can sort out the rest later. Are you in? As she looked at the stack of papers he'd presented to her with no warning, she gave a single nod. She wasn't going down without a fight. Liesel sat in the coffee shop with her mother and stared sadly into the latte she couldn't even enjoy. Right now, under the supervision of Elsie and Jenka, her husband was removing his basic belongings from the house. Having a powerful family like Merlin McGrath had meant everything was moving along quickly. The papers had been filed. She had not contested, and they would be divorced in under a month. New Hampshire was making it easy for them. Her mother was quiet. They set the wedding date for the day after the papers should be finalized. She paused. Your sister asked for you to be there. She can go fuck herself. She spat bitterly. She's your sister, Liesel. Her mother reached for her hand, sighing when Liesel drew it backwards. What do you want me to do? I'm stuck in the middle here. You shouldn't be stuck in the middle. Your daughter acted like a whore and has been fucking her brother-in-law for months. Her brother interrupted the conversation as he entered the coffee shop, loudly drawing attention. He plunked down beside Liesel and hugged her tight, bringing on another set of tears. I'm so sorry, baby girl. I didn't know. I just found out when I got back into town a few minutes ago. Meredith let me know right away. Fred, your sister isn't a whore, Lorraine Sutherland sniffed. She made a mistake. No, Mom. A mistake is when you circle B instead of A on a multiple-choice quiz. A mistake is putting salt instead of sugar in your coffee. Having an 11-month-long affair with your sister's husband while having sex with other men and engaged to another schmuck is not a mistake. Liesel would never have suspected either of them. Meredith told me how he told her. Who the fuck tells his wife of 5 years he wanted a divorce with no warning and a stack of signed papers? Then for Sandy to text her and tell her how long it's been going on and how much they are in love. She asked her to give up the house so she and the baby have a place to live. No, her mother made sad eyes at Liesel. You didn't tell me. Why should I? It's not like it changes anything, Mom. Liesel, it's not black and white for me. There's a child to consider. Well, I refuse. I'm not giving up the house. I'm contemplating selling it to the lowest bidder and letting them raze it to the ground out of spite. She rested her head on Fred's shoulder sadly, hating how much she was still crying over the pair of them. I'll bring the bulldozer, Fred nodded his agreement. You can move in with me and Meredith. She sniffed and reached for her coffee. I hate him. I hate them both so much. You don't hate your sister. Mom, stop telling me what I feel. She felt Fred's supportive kiss to her temple and felt grateful for the love he was showing her. She's your baby. You've been making excuses for her since the day she was born, but this I can't forgive or forget. She could have been with anyone else but my husband. I loved him. I spent 8 years of my life with him, loving him and doing everything for him. I should have listened to Fred. You should have, but now is not the time to be playing what ifs, Fred said softly. Fred, I gave up everything for him. He wanted a housewife to hold his dinner parties and look pretty on his arm. I followed his damn fitness regime and ate the food he bought so I would always look good on his arm. I had my hair styled the way he liked it. I haven't been allowed to cut my hair the way I like in 7 years. 7 fucking years of having hair to the middle of my back because he liked being able to pull it when he was behind me. She knew she'd overshared when her mother gasped. I worked as a receptionist to subsidize my income as an artist when we met and he made me quit. I was only allowed to show the pieces he approved of lest they sully the family name. Infuriated, she snapped. I hope their baby is ugly. Liesel, her mother snapped. It is not the baby's fault. I didn't wish it dead, I wished it ugly. Her brother snickered at her comment, earning him a glare from Lorraine as well. Liesel looked at Fred. When he takes his glasses off, his eyes are beady. I hope they have a beady-eyed baby with her big nose. I hope it's a girl too. Nothing would be more insulting than his first being female. Liesel, her mother tried again. You know, Mom, you named us all after your favorite movies. We could blame you for bringing the drama to our lives. Fred tossed out snidely. You did encourage Sandy to be theatrical. Very funny. I'm pretty sure I didn't tell your sister to let her brother-in-law bone her for drama. She groaned and slapped her hands on the table. I'm upset with her too, but she's still my daughter and I still must support her the best way I can. She's going through it right now. She brought it on herself. Fred refused to sympathize with his youngest sister. She's 26 and she knew better. She made a conscious decision. She's not the only one, Liesel said quietly. He knew what he was doing. It's not only her fault. I want him to pay. I want him to suffer this humiliation the way I am. Well, you could sleep with his brother. She gagged at the thought as Fred laughed. I would rather sleep with his father than his brother, and that's saying something. The old man is sleazy. His sons are chips off the old block. Fred commented dryly. Her phone rang and she noted it was Janka. She answered it on speaker. Is he gone yet? No. He's asking for your engagement ring. He says it was a family heirloom and he wants Sandy to have it. I'll kill him where he sleeps, she whispered furiously. He's going to put the ring he proposed to me with, in front of all our family and friends, at Christmas time, on her finger? I'm so sorry, Liesel, but he's refusing to leave without talking to you, unless you tell me where the ring is. Why is he trying to hurt me more? Hasn't he done enough? She whimpered against Fred's shoulder. What did I do to him to make him hate me so much he would do this? My feeling from the way he's been behaving here in the house is he thought you would fight for him. I think he thought you would argue more over the divorce and beg him to stay. I think you kicked his ego in the balls by signing on the same night. I think he thought you would come crying to us and boo-hoo and beg. Janka threw her 2 cents in. I caught him going through your clothes and he had taken some of your lingerie. I told him it was not part of his belongings and I took it from him. He tried to argue he had purchased it, but I made him put it back. Mother, she censored herself as an older lady sat down at the table next to them. She blinked back tears and nodded. Tell him I have the ring on me, and I will give it to my mother. I realized Wednesday I was wearing it when I was at the doctor's office getting my pap smear done to make sure he didn't pass on Sandy's chlamydia. At her mother's rolled eyes, she dug the ring out and made her mom hold it up and snapped a photo. Show him that she has it. I hope she loses it on her way home. I don't. I hope his grandmother, who is a saint, comes back from the dead and haunts Sandy for wearing it. Janka's chortle of laughter echoed as she hung up the call and she eyeballed her mother who was carefully putting the ring in her handbag. I hope you know how much this hurts me, Mom. She turned her head into Fred's chest and let the tears fall yet again. I'm sorry, Liesel. I can't choose between daughters. I can choose between sisters. Fred said quietly. Mom, you should go. Liesel needs support from people who put her first and right now you're not capable. He is tearing her apart and you're condoning his behavior by supporting his mistress. Shame on you. As her mother slowly got up from the table and walked away sadly, Liesel curled into her brother's arms and sobbed her heart out. Isaias Machado sat in the corner of his favorite restaurant, happily enjoying a quiet moment. He knew it was short-lived. His date had gone to the bathroom, and her incessant yammering on and on was making him wish he'd come alone. He noted a flurry of activity from his security team in opposite sides of the room and then looked up in surprise when a woman he didn't know sat down in the seat his date had just vacated. "Can I help you?" He lifted a hand up to ward off his men. He studied the woman. He knew her from somewhere but couldn't place her. She slid a thumb drive across the table. "I know you don't know me. I don't know you either, other than what my husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband, has told me. Considering how much of a sniveling turd he's turned out to be, I wouldn't be surprised if half of what he said was bullshit, but it's irrelevant anyway." "What is this?" "Information." "Is this an extortion attempt?" "No." The pretty brunette with the dark coal-lined eyes and red lipstick shook her head. "It's the opposite. My ex fucked me over. Badly. He left information on my laptop pertaining to business transactions, which you might be interested in. I don't want to extort you, Mr. Machado. I want to bribe you to help me ruin the bastard." "Bribe me how?" He wanted to laugh at the vehemence of her. "Merlin McGrath is my ex." He sat up straight. That weasel was married to this gorgeous woman? He leaned sideways and let his gaze rake her from head to toe, and he gave a low whistle. "How did he fuck you over, dare I ask? Please don't say he cheated." "With my sister." "Are you twins?" "No." "Then why? You're a solid 10. She blushed under his scrutiny, and he liked the color on her cheeks. He watched as she slowly shook her head as if trying to clear the cobwebs. "Look. I can't speak to his motivation. My brother's hypothesis is he got dropped on his head as a child. My theory is, he's a greedy bastard not content with his lot, so he wants everyone else's too. He knocked my sister up at her wedding reception. You know, I could ruin his reputation simply with this information alone." "Go ahead. It might make my mother cry more, but at this point, I'm not caring too much. They're getting married tomorrow. It's taken me a month to sift through the information he left on my laptop. He also stupidly forgot to change his email address, so I've been looking at his emails every day. He has a hate for you unlike anyone I've ever seen. His entire family does." "What do you want?" He was intrigued. A woman scorned was frightening, but this one had a chip on her shoulder and a score to settle. "Look through the information on the USB. My contact information is on it. If you want more information, I'll provide it to you, but there's a catch." "There always is." "Ruin him. Destroy him and make his life a living hell." "Is that all?" He'd gladly do it. When his kid turns 18, the child will be entitled to a trust fund. I don't want a child to suffer needlessly. I don't care what you do to him and my sister, but I don't want the child to lose what he or she will be entitled to. I draw the line at harming a kid. It didn't ask to be born. Did you know there's a woman who sued her parents for not gaining her permission to be born? I kind of want to send the kid all her videos the minute he turns 16. Poor bastard is in for a rough time with my selfish bitch of a sister for a mom. Does he not pay you alimony? If I take everything from him, you'll lose as well. I don't care. I hate him. I want him to burn. An argument near the toilets caught his ear, and he looked over to see his date telling off another patron of the restaurant. The woman opposite him giggled. "Oops, looks like my distraction wasn't long enough. I'll let you get back to your date. If you think the information on the device is anything you can use, call me. We can negotiate." She quickly rose from her seat and beelined out of the restaurant. He palmed the USB and motioned to his head of security to take it. "I don't know what's on it. Could be nothing. Could be everything. Keep it safe until we're in the office, and we'll need IT to make sure it's not loaded with a virus to wipe us out. Also, find out everything you can on Merlin McGrath's ex-wife. I want every detail." "Yes, sir." The man moved away as his date reappeared to the table. Isaias, some bimbo spilled water all over my silk skirt in the bathroom, and then, when I came out, another one crashed into me with another glass of water. How is this your favorite restaurant when the clientele is so clumsy? I am certain it's merely a series of unfortunate circumstances. I will pay for your new skirt. He tried not to grin as he realized the brunette had arranged for his date to get saturated. He probably already owed her one. The restaurant should pay, she huffed, tossing her blonde hair over her shoulder angrily. Was it restaurant staff who spilled water on you? No. Then why should they pay? They should have better control of their guests. We will agree to disagree. He motioned to the wine. Drink your wine. Dinner will be along soon. Fine, she huffed. Who was the lady? Which lady? The one who I saw sitting at the table? She sat at the wrong table, he lied effortlessly. She was quite embarrassed. Then why did she leave? He leaned forward. I think her date left her here when she was in the bathroom. Did she leave without paying? I don't know. I don't really care. What I do care about is not continuing this conversation. 20 minutes later, he had completely tuned her out. He was struggling to remember her name now as well, while he enjoyed the dishes placed in front of him. The woman complained about the fishy taste of her entree and the caloric content of her dessert. He made a mental note: when he dined here next, he was coming alone. When the bill arrived, he was surprised to see the restaurant owner approach and tell him it was on the house. I understand there was a mishap in the ladies' room, and I could never forgive myself if you had a bad experience at my restaurant. While I appreciate the gesture, I assure you there are no hard feelings over a minor incident, and I am content to pay for my meal. It will not dissuade me from returning, I promise. Thank you, Mr. Machado, but I must insist. You're a valued customer, and I appreciate your patronage. Please accept this as my way of apology. Then I accept, but next time, I'm paying. Thank you, Mara. You're most welcome. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. I am sure I shall. When they got outside, he looked to his driver. Please take my companion home or wherever it is she wishes to go. I'll ride with security and return to my estate. You're not coming home with me? She ran her hand suggestively up his arm. No, he regarded her with a sad shake of his head. The truth is, your constant whining and moaning and your incessant need to critique, complain and argue everything tonight has made my dick want to retire permanently. We won't be fucking. Not tonight or any other night. Good evening. He walked away as she stood standing with her jaw open. He slid into the front seat of the car his head of security usually drove. Take me home. He had a thumb drive to dissect and a revenge plot to contemplate. Despite the odd turn of his evening, Isaias was feeling quite satisfied with the outcome. He picked up the phone and dialed the number on his screen, uncaring it was 2 a.m. A breathy whispered, "Hello," echoed in his ear. He shifted in his bed uncomfortably. Her voice was incredible. Liesel? Yes, who is this? Isaias Machado. I need to ask how you got the information you gave me earlier this evening. Her groan made him pull the phone away from his ear and almost rub his crotch. Her voice was the stuff straight out of a porn, soft, seductive, and sleepy. You mean last night? It's 2 a.m. I'm aware of the time. You have sensitive information here. How did you come by it? He admitted to being concerned about the legitimacy of how she obtained it. She was quiet. Does it matter? It does. He was going to use it either way, but he needed to know. My ex had a habit of working constantly. All the time, 24/7. I admired his drive and determination and appreciated his hard work, but now I think he was avoiding me. She gave a dramatic sigh. Anyhow, frequently his own laptop computer's battery would drain it because he was constantly on the damn thing. When it happened, he would simply grab mine and use it. When he very indelicately told me he had knocked my sister up, he forgot he had not cleared my computer of his information. It was on my computer purchased with my own money. It's ancient. I've had it for at least 8 or 9 years. I use it for watching movies and doing my banking. It freezes all the time, but it's mine. The information contained on my computer is mine, is it not? I am fairly sure this is not how it works. It also would not be a far stretch for anyone to put two and two together and surmise you provided to me details from the shared laptop for me to use this information to take business from your husband. I should tell you. I have no issues doing so on my own without help, but this certainly would speed the process along. I'm aware you can take him out on your own. He bitched constantly about you taking the last 2 contracts he had, one for the development of the subdivision in the Grove and the other where you took the strip mall right out from under his nose. He felt it was personal. It was. Why? I don't care for his father. We will leave it at that for now. Regardless, I am curious what it is you want to negotiate for additional information. I have removed the bulk of his information from my laptop. It is secured elsewhere, broken down into files and folders where only I can find them. However, his email account is still wide open on my laptop, and I left 2 files with other key pieces of information. It would be unfortunate if someone with the means and the knowledge to bypass my security system were to come into my house when I was out and steal my laptop. It is of no intrinsic value. To make it look good, I'm willing to file a police report should the thief steal other items in the house. There really isn't anything I want in it other than what is in my bedroom and art studio. You want me to rob you? Rich people don't get rich playing nice, Mr. Machado. It was one of Merle's favorite sayings. I'm sure you have an individual on your payroll to perform nefarious type work for you all the time. I'm simply a developer, Ms. McGrath, and I could be insulted by your insinuation. Yet, I bet you're not. She gave a throaty chuckle. He found himself wondering what other noises she made. He pushed the thought aside. No, you're right. I am not. What do you want in return for your stolen computer? I want you to come to my art show. Art show? His file he'd received from his security indicated she was an artist working primarily out of a local gallery. A man with your reputation showing up at my show would bring attention to me. It's my goal to not touch a single penny of my alimony. I hate feeling like I'm still being supported by him. I want to make my own way with my art. If you come to the show, paparazzi will follow, and people will come. Also, it'll really piss the entire McGrath family off. I want them to burn with anger. I see, he said quietly. You will let me take your computer with the email open and access to whichever files are left on the computer, and I can use the information how I see fit. You'll file a police report to say you had a break and enter to cover your ass, and all I need to do is become a patron of the arts? Actually, Mr. Machado, you're already a patron of the arts. When I saw you sitting at the table, I recognized you, but thought at first it was probably at an event I'd been dragged to with Merle. However, the more I thought of it, it turns out you purchased one of my paintings several years ago. I was a student at the time, and you were there at the art fair with a very regal woman who purchased one of my paintings, and you took one as well. Back then I never kept a record of names of who I sold to, but I went through my portfolio from back then and sure enough, you are in the background of a photo. I know the art fair you're referring to, but I bought the painting at least 10 years ago. You remembered me after all this time? He looked across his home office to the 11 by 10 canvas he had framed years ago with the gold and red hues. You don't look the same. I remember you being Kavya. He remembered his mother teasing him how he'd been checking out the ass of the artist. She gave a bitter laugh. I was a lot chunkier back then, but it was me you bought from. I remember every person I have ever sold a painting to. The paintings are part of my soul. Each time I paint, and I let one go, I let a piece of me go as well. He was quiet at her words and then sighed. When will you be out of your house? She gave a delighted squeal. I'm going to see a realtor tomorrow afternoon to discuss putting the house on the market. I'm going to sell it for under market value just to piss Merle off. He can't get into it with me tomorrow because he's getting married to my sister and then they're going on their honeymoon. My wedding blessings for him are a flaccid dick and for her to be drier than the Sahara. I want to have the place sold and under contract before they're back. I can only pray whoever buys doesn't sell it back to him. Why not sell it for a profit? Because my sister wants it so she can raise her child in it. If I had my way, I would sell it to a buyer who wants to bulldoze it. My brother really wants to drive a bulldozer through it ever since we found out they had sex on my kitchen counters. He considered this woman was a very bitter and angry individual and he should tread lightly. Everything in him was warning him to hang up the phone and get as far away from her crazy schemes as he could. Instead, before he could stop himself, he spoke. I will give you full market value. I will let your brother drive the bulldozer, but I very much want to live stream the event so his family sees it. I also want to make it public knowledge I'm the one taking it, and I want it done the day they are back from their honeymoon. I want him to be there, but be unable to do anything about it.
Really?
Yes. You may as well take a profit from his stupidity. Tomorrow afternoon, be out of your house. Keep up the ruse with the realtor. I'll have my team make inquiries and we'll go from there. When is your art show? Next Friday evening. Perfect. I will see you then. Good night, Liesel. Good night, Mr. Machado. Call me Isaias. Considering the hijinks we're about to indulge in, I think first names are warranted. Then, good night, Isaias. She gave a little giggle at his words before hanging up. The sweet sound of her laughter kept him awake the rest of the night. She sat in the realtor's office staring at the offer in her hand in shock. I don't know what to say. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, the woman said as she sucked deep on her vaping apparatus, blowing eucalyptus-scented smoke around her head. I had a call this morning telling me the buyer wanted something in your neighborhood, with your specific number of bedrooms and bathrooms. It was a kismet situation. He made a full cash offer. Close tomorrow. All you must do is sign on the line and find a way to get your furnishings out by tomorrow. Do you have an alternate place to go? She looked at her brother beside her and nodded, yes. My brother and his wife are going to put me up. I've been in the house 6 weeks now since I found out about his affair, and I need to get out. It's too full of horrible memories. She pouted her lips at Fred. Can we get everything out in a day? I swear, if it takes me and 3 moving companies and all our friends and family the next 24 hours, I will get everything you want out of the house. I promise. Fred clasped her hand and looked at the promise of $500,000 in her hand. Take it and run. She looked at the realtor and nodded. Where do I sign? An hour later, she had deposited the money in her personal checking account via wire transfer and was back standing in the middle of the foyer of the home she had once considered her dream home. Her glass castle of floor-to-window ceilings in the pricey suburban neighborhood had been her fairy tale come to life. Now, as she stood looking around, it felt very much like a prison. She looked around sadly and then noted the mess made in the living room and remembered the second part of her plan. She looked to Fred, clearing her throat nervously. I think someone was here. She felt bad for lying to him, but she couldn't implicate him in fraud and filing false police reports. She hadn't even told Janka or Elsie about her offer for Machado to break into her house to steal the laptop. She'd made the decision in the heat of the moment, half asleep when the man had called. It couldn't have been Merlin because he's in the middle of his wedding vows. Fred grimaced distastefully. I cannot believe our mother expected us both to be there to support Sandy. She gave me shit saying Sandy's condition is delicate due to her pregnancy. You can go if you want. She shot her brother a look as she looked around the trashed room. Whoever Machado had sent made it look good. I think we need to call the police and step outside. I don't know what's been touched and what hasn't been. It's a good idea to call the police. Also, I'd rather rip my limbs off and feed them to the McGrath estate pinchers than support those 2 assholes. Fred said as he dragged her out of the house in rush, looking over his shoulder worriedly. I hope nobody is still in there. He dialed 911 and reported the break-in. It was an affluent neighborhood, and the wealthy were always catered to, therefore the police were on their way. How strange is it a secret purchaser of your home paid full asking in cash? Very. She said nothing more and looked away with a smirk. What? I know that grin. What are you hiding? I may have tipped off a certain developer of the house going on the market. One who despises Merlin's family. Why? He was stunned. Sandy wants the house. For the last 3 weeks I've been getting text messages and phone calls from both her and Merlin asking me to sell it to them. Merlin offered me twice the market value for it. I haven't answered a single message or call. I delete them, but he's persistent. He offered $1 million? He did. She wants to raise their child in my house, and he's giving her whatever she wants. I don't know what I ever did to her to make her want to hurt me the way she does, but whatever I have, she wants it. She's been jealous of the house since I first moved in. She used to say all the time it was far too much house for a simple artist. I loved the natural light in it. Now, I'd do anything to make sure it never falls into her hands. Do you think the guy who bought it will sell it back to them? This could all be for nothing. If he hates him, he may simply make him pay 3 times asking to get it. He told me you can drive the bulldozer, but it has to be when they come back on Saturday. Why? Fred was astounded. Close enough, Merlin can almost taste it. I'm sure their first call will be to pressure me to sell it again, and the buyer wants to live stream him bulldozing it. Who is this guy? Isaías Machado. Her brother's silence made her look curious in his direction. You know of him? Yes. How do you know of him? Merlin complained about him all the time. I simply went to Merlin's enemy and told him I was putting the house Merlin wanted on the market, and he took the bait. Why? You look like you saw a ghost. No ghost. I'm surprised you found a way to get to him. He has more money than Merlin would ever dream of having, and he's known for taking what he wants without asking. My company has been offered the opportunity to interview and do the interior design for one of Machado's new offices. It's where I was the week your husband confessed his indiscretion. He said the word sneeringly. It was the word they all mocked the most. He had 5 different companies on the premises at the same time to pitch his ideas. I've never met him personally though. Did you get it? He whittled down to 2 companies, mine and another one from Los Angeles. I think the main reason I'm still in is because his head office is here in Manchester, which is weird to be honest. The man has more money than God, and instead of New York or LA or any European city, he stays here in Manchester, New Hampshire. It's so funny, she said suddenly. Merlin has hated this guy for the months, and you were off doing a bid for him, and we didn't connect the dots. Merlin has never been one to ask about my business endeavors. He thinks interior design is a waste of time. God, I can't believe you stayed with him 8 years. I loved him, she whispered quietly. I know he was a dickhead to most people, but he treated me like his princess. He took care of me and made the decisions, and, she exhaled, Janka thinks I have daddy issues since Dad died so young. Merle took over every aspect of my life and made me his pampered princess. I gravitated to it because it's what Dad would have done. Dad definitely spoiled us, he said quietly, and I guess it makes sense. Do you know, in all the time we were together, we never really had an argument? I've thought long and hard about how I was blindsided by this, because we never even argued. It dawned on me I gave in every single time to avoid his disappointment in me. I always wanted his approval and his love. Her phone rang, and it was an unknown number. She answered it, wondering if perhaps Machado was calling her. Instead, it was her sister's high-pitched whining scream filling her ears. Why are you ruining my day? You and Fred are supposed to be here. Mom is the only one from our family here. Just Mom. Not one aunt, uncle, or cousin are here. Do you know how embarrassing this is for me and Merle? Get your ass over here. She hung up on her and felt the shaky breath escape her lips as her brother pressed his lips to her temple and hugged her close. Why is she so awful? Who knows, but I'm done with her and Mom. Dad would be horrified by their behavior. I'm sorry you're caught up in this. I'm sorry I didn't do more to stop it. He sighed and then looked towards the street. Police are here. Let's figure out the next steps and then go for dinner. You and me? Your treat, since you made a mint? She giggled at his teasing and nodded. I'd like that. She braced herself to put on the performance of a lifetime as the officer approached. Everything was riding on this. Liesel was putting the finishing touches on piece she was restoring for Janka at the gallery when her phone rang. She noted the number and smiled. She was truly beginning to enjoy when he reached out. She prepared for the way her goosebumps were going to coat her skin when he said her name. Good afternoon, Isaias. Good afternoon, Liesel. How are you today? Well, I have been working on a restoration piece for 2 months and it's finally finished.
Restoration?
Yes. Customers will bring Janka paintings which have been damaged over time and we restore them. It's one of the services she offers at the gallery.
Very cool.
We have something in common then. I like to restore old homes. You like to restore old paintings. She smiled. You like to restore old homes? I sure do. I started in this business flipping houses. I much prefer fixing than destroying.
Wow.
I didn't know. She admitted as she put her brushes into the solution for cleaning. I should have Googled you. He laughed at her comment. No need for that. I'm an open book. Ask me anything and I'll tell you.
I'll start with an easy one. Why are you calling me?
He was chuckling earnestly now, and Liesel considered his laugh was warm and comforting to her. She could picture his dark eyes as she had seen them on Friday night, sparkling with curiosity. I am calling to say thank you for the tip. I have made wonderful use of the information I received. If you have additional information, I would be thrilled to conduct further business. Is this so?
It is.
He laughed. Are you busy? She asked, suddenly feeling brave. After talking to him on the phone for the last few days, she wanted to see him in person to see if her memory was flawed or if he truly was as gorgeous as she remembered.
I am always busy, but if you're asking me if I have time to see you, then I do.
Are you asking me out? Her smile was toothy at his words. There is a coffee shop about a block from the gallery and they make extravagant drinks. If you happen to be there at the same time I was there, I might have a thumb drive in my pocket I would exchange for a great cup of coffee. I want an extra large one with loads of whipped topping.
You would give me information for a simple cup of coffee?
I'm a simple woman, Isaias. Easy to please. If you put the information to good use, it's almost payment enough. Almost. I need caffeine. 30 minutes? Sounds good. She told him the name of the coffee shop and then ended the call. She looked up to see Janka leaning against the wall, her arms folded and her grin wide. What? You like him? She couldn't deny it. He called me last night and we talked for an hour about the house. He was asking me if I was 100% certain on my desire to demolish it. He said it's a very final decision and once it's started, cannot be undone. He's received all the permitting. He has the gas shut off and the water disconnected. He has already removed all the fixings he felt he could resell. Apparently, the marble in the master bathroom was in great shape, so he had it all pulled out. He said the interior of the house is almost down to the studs now. How do you feel about it? She held up her phone. My sister is on her honeymoon. There at the resort Merlin took me to for our honeymoon in Barbados. Instead of doing what normal people do on a honeymoon, she's been busy spending her time sending me 100 messages a day telling me how angry she is at me for boycotting her wedding and how I need to make it up to her by giving her my house. Bitch. Janka scowled angrily. I really want to smack her. It's not as bad as Merlin messaging me yesterday to remind me how I used to imagine our children playing in the sun's rays in the foyer and how he wants to keep this dream alive by allowing my nephew to grow up in a house of light. She grimaced with the rage she still felt. It had been a month. She shouldn't still feel this angry, and she probably wouldn't if they would simply move on with their lives and leave her to her own. She hated them both. His level of emotional blackmail is on par with hers. You know we never liked him, right? Janka's voice was condescending. She laughed at Janka's comment. Yes, you and Elsie made it very clear you pretended because I loved him. Anyway, when I told Isaias what they had been texting me while they were on their honeymoon, his question to me was why they were both messaging me about a house when they should be fucking their brains out on a honeymoon. He then started cracking jokes about how Merlin was probably too busy counting the grains of sand stuck to his skin to truly enjoy the beach, which was on point to be honest. He also was eerily on the money about how Sandy was likely making the housekeeping staff's lives a living hell. He had me laughing so hard I could barely breath. Janka. He cracks the most inappropriate comments, and they make me laugh. Really? He even commented their honeymoon must be boring and dull. He said he's met Merlin multiple times, and he always assumed his wife was a blow-up doll and was very glad to see me escape his captivity. He told me he couldn't for the life of him imagine a woman like me with a man like him.
He likes you too. How much have you talked to him?
She twisted her lips. He called me Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and then last night. The only night you didn't speak to him was Monday? We texted on Monday. He was out of the country but sent me messages.
Liesl,
why am I only hearing of this now? I don't know. But I'm going to go meet him for coffee in exchange for a thumb drive.
You should tell him the next thumb drive is exchanged for orgasms.
I should not. She blushed furiously.
You definitely should.
Janka smirked, and don't tell me you haven't considered it. He's gorgeous. We ogled him for a solid half-hour Friday night from the kitchen at Mara's. He is the definition of tall, dark, and handsome and is the exact opposite of your troll, beady-eyed blonde-haired, pasty ex.
You know, you really should have told me how much you hated him.
It might have made me look at him in a more discerning light. You were happy. Janka shrugged. I mean in a conditioned, brainwashed way, but you were happy. Liesl, some women are happy to be a housewife, and if it was your dream to be with him in the refined, cultured way he demanded you behave, then we weren't going to crush the dream. However, I will say, hearing you drop F-bombs and wear brightly colored blouses and skirts again, the way you did most of our lives, makes me infinitely happy. I feel like you found your way back to the Liesl we knew and loved. You changed for him, and I'm not saying it was a bad thing. I'm simply saying, as much as I love you, I really love this version of you better. She was quiet as she considered her friend's words. You know, I like this version better too. My art feels like it's come alive. I wish it didn't still hurt so much. It's been 6 weeks, and there was a night I woke up last week in the middle of the night and reached for him. I had to get out of the bed and go sleep on the sofa because it hurt. I'm glad I'm out of the house now. I think it was a big part of my pain. I just want to see it crushed to the ground.
Well, if you're going to meet a hot billionaire for coffee, wipe the paint smear off your cheek and get a move on.
Janka tossed a rag at her. And seriously, offer the next thumb drive for sex. Make the bribe count. She laughed as she went to the bathroom to clean up, strangely wondering what he would say if she proposed such a thing. She shivered as she considered all the possibilities. Liesl entered the coffee shop and made her way to the counter. I'll have a large mocha, full fat, an extra shot of espresso and extra whipped topping, please. A warm voice echoed the heat of the body of the man leaning over to whisper in her ear, you like creamy things. Good to know. She giggled at the flirty voice and turned her head a fraction to meet the dark eyes she'd been fixating on for the last several days.
Isaias, nice to see you in the flesh again.
She eagerly ogled said flesh from head to toe.
I can arrange for you to see my flesh in full.
He teased boldly. Bring the whipped cream. Not the hot coffee though. It could burn me. I'm not into pain. She laughed as he winked and ordered a large black coffee and then paid for both of their drinks. Leaning against the counter as she waited for her coffee, she stared at him. She had seen him enter the restaurant the week before and had noted his height, but standing this close to him, he was indeed a tall man. He was also very well put together. His suit was tailored to his frame, and knowing Merlin's penchant for expensive suits, she knew the one he was wearing put all the ones in Merle's closet to shame. This man was on an entirely different plane altogether. Poised and polished, this was the version of a man Merlin was striving to achieve, and he'd missed the mark altogether. She wondered how he would feel to know for the last several days he had been her muse. You are ogling me, Liesl. He called her out with a smirk. Don't stop though. I like it. She gave him a bold once-over and sighed wistfully, I'm an artist, Isaias. I appreciate the finer things in life and you, sir, are fine. He threw his head back and laughed loudly at her comment, drawing stares from other patrons of the coffee shop.
Liesl, you are too much, and I love it.
Come, let's go sit and have a chat, you sweet, wonderful flirt. He extended his hand and she put hers into it and discreetly put a thumb drive between their palms. He raised an eyebrow at her actions but didn't release his hand until they sat down. "How old are you?" she asked him as they took their seats, and she palmed her coffee cup. The warmth of it had nothing on the way he was studying her. She knew she had her hair in a messy bun and her clothes were appropriate for nothing more than dabbling in her paints, yet he was staring at her as if she were naked and he was enjoying the view. For the first time since she'd met Merlin McGrath, she had a strong desire for another man, and it was titillating. 39, he answered. I'm 28. She smiled as she looked happily at her coffee. She swiped her tongue out and licked the topping off. I know. He grinned as he leaned back in the chair opposite her and stretched his legs out under the table, catching her feet between his calves. I checked. Do you have kids? She asked. No, he made a face. I haven't met anyone I wanted to have a family with. I've had relationships which have run their courses, but never felt the urge to procreate. I do like to practice, though. He stared hard at her and smirked when she wriggled in her seat. She tried not to imagine how he practiced and gave up, deciding she liked the imagery in her head. I don't have kids either. I wanted a big family. At least 3 or 4 kids. My ex said no kids until he made CEO. He agreed if it didn't happen by the time he was 35, we could start. She shrugged. I'm incredibly grateful now we waited. Perfect family? How many boys and girls do you want? He diverted her from the topic of Merlin. I'd like 2 boys and 2 girls, but really, it doesn't matter to me. I will be a mom. I need to find the right guy first. Why be with a man who forces you to put your dreams on hold for his? Isaias asked bluntly. I loved him. Why? He sneered. He's got a rat face and he's got the personality of a rock. People fall in love for all kinds of reasons, Isaias. How did you meet him? Did he save your life? Did you save his? Gratitude? It had to be pity for you to sleep with him. He teased her as he sipped his coffee. Elsie, Janka and I, she paused with the retelling, they're my best friends, went to dinner to celebrate Elsie getting into law school. We were 20. She's gifted and had her BA complete and had gotten accepted. We celebrated by going to this fancy-ass restaurant we couldn't really afford. We didn't know the soup spoon from the salad fork. She laughed at the memory. Merlin was at the next table, and he gave me instruction, and by the end of the night, I had given him my phone number. He was a perfect gentleman and nothing like the guys in college. I hung out with artists and musicians, and he was refined and polished. He took me to gallery openings which were far fancier than anything I had ever seen and would tell me things such as how it would be me someday with my art on the fancy gallery walls. Eventually, I was putting my goals on hold. Once he made his dreams come true, we could focus on mine. He had an image to present, and he would buy my clothes and taught me manners far better than my mom ever did. He used to say we helped each other be the best versions of each other. The truth was, he was molding me into his perfect wife, and I was nothing more than arm candy. But she admitted quietly, I loved him. I would have done anything for him because that's who I am as a person. When I love, I'm all in. I don't only love the best parts of someone, I love all of them, the good, the bad, the ugly. You're very passionate, he said, his dark eyes boring into hers. It's not a bad trait, but it can be dangerous because it can make you blind. My dad. She nodded. I am very much like my dad. He died when I was young. He jumped into life with both feet. The family always said you knew you were loved by him from a glance. He could make you feel special with a carefully worded comment. I always wanted to be as loving as he was. She felt her lips curl, but if you pissed him off and crossed him, you did not want to suffer the consequences. He was an all-or-nothing man. If you crossed him, you were done. I also inherited this trait from him. I will not tolerate being made a fool. His family too is very much like this. They must be thrilled with your sister then. They've all shunned her. She and Merlin got married on Saturday. My mom was the only family member in attendance. Not one of my many aunts, uncles, or cousins showed up. She blamed me, but they know how my dad would have reacted. Your mom went? My mom feels bad for her because she's all alone now, but she knew what she was doing. She cheated on her husband on her wedding day with my husband and got pregnant."
"No!
"You didn't tell me it was at her wedding."
It was."
She shook her head. Morals of an alley cat. She looked to his pocket meaningfully. "Anyway, like my dad, I burn bridges. I'm done with him, but I want him to pay. He wants to make CEO by 35. I hope you find a way to make it so he can't make it to manager of a fast food joint by 60. He laughed. "Liesel, you and I are remarkably similar. I too am a highly passionate person. I love with ferocity. My family means everything to me. I would do anything for them. Cross me though, and I'll rip your heart out and feed it to you while keeping you alive just for the fuck of it." Yikes, she made wide eyes at him. "I promise not to get on your bad side, Isaias. I only want to be friends, not foes." "Oh, Liesel, I feel we will become much more than friends." She blushed as he maintained eye contact and smiled wolfishly at her. Her heart skipped a beat as she considered she too wanted much, much more. Their subject turned to other mundane topics, but her mind was stuck on his comment and all the different possibilities. It was the best coffee date she'd ever had. By Friday, she was a ball of nerves. This was her first showing without her husband by her side. Much of her art over the last 7 weeks, several new pieces, clearly depicted her anguish and rage. Large red streaks and splatters against stark white canvas peppered with black and her own blood which she had drawn by stabbing her fingertips repeatedly, entitled "Fool No More," was her centerpiece of the latest collection. It was raw, primal, and angry, and she knew it. A departure from the last show where her life had been boring and easy. If anything, her divorce was good for her art. A self-portrait of her crying was mounted to the wall, encased in a stark black wooden frame. Her lips painted an angry red, mascara streaking down her cheeks, and the clear despair on her features clearly depicted the title "Betrayed." Then the self-portrait immediately next to it with rage, her features narrowed, fierce, and vengeful, was entitled "Scorned." She hadn't put out such vulnerable work in years, and letting her very real emotions to be viewed by the world was excruciating yet cathartic. "This is by far the best work you have ever done," Janka gushed. "There won't be a piece left on the wall tonight. I'm sure of it. I mean, you have a niche following, but this is going to bring you to a whole new level. Especially if your new patron shows up," Elsie grinned, playfully nudging her with her hip. She'd had multiple conversations with him all week. He liked to call, not text, and he was very flirty. She really hoped he would show up. He would be a good bit of fun to rebound with. Or at least it was Fred's suggestion. Her brother kept asking her if she'd boned the billionaire yet. "I can't believe you bribed him to show his face for a simple USB." She was quite certain it was not the USB which made him agree, but the prospect of getting his hands on the laptop which had pushed him, but she was not about to divulge this information. She'd falsely reported a crime which she had committed. He was so grateful for the info he'd sent her a bottle of expensive wine and a dozen roses. She heard the buzz of more people entering the gallery and looked over her shoulder to see her ex-in-laws entering.
"What the actual fuck?"
she hissed under her breath while maintaining her wide smile. "Why are they here? They were not invited." "It's open invitation," she gritted through her teeth. "Darling," Tori gripped her by the shoulders and blew air kisses to her cheeks, "you look gorgeous." "Doesn't she look gorgeous, Trent?" "She does indeed." His gaze racked her up and down in the familiar way which had always made her skin crawl. "I did not expect to see you here," she kept her smile firmly planted on her face as she ignored his creepy stare. "Thank you for coming." "Oh, we wouldn't miss a show of our daughter-in-law." She corrected, quickly. "Ugh," Tori rolled her eyes dramatically. "My son realized his mistake as soon as the woman provided her pregnancy test. Once the baby is born within wedlock, to meet the confines of the will, he'll come back to you, as he should." "Excuse me," her smile slipped at the woman's words. "Your sister is not fit to be a McGrath, and we all know it. We did what was right for the child, and Merlin had his role to play. She is a frightful woman, isn't she?" Tori whispered lowly, clutching Liesel's hands tightly in her grip and putting their foreheads together conspiratorially. "She threatened to abort the baby if he doesn't give her what she wants. She keeps making comments about how clumsy she is. I wouldn't put it past her to throw herself down a flight of stairs to cause the child harm. Horrible human being. Tori, I don't know what to say to all of this. She withdrew her hands and stepped backward. She could feel Jenka wanting to push forward to offer her 2 cents and waved her back, but you need to know, I'm never taking him back. They were together multiple times over an 11-month period. This wasn't a one-time drunken mistake, which even then I'm not sure I could forgive. It went on for months. They had sex in my house while I was sick upstairs in my bed. On my kitchen counter. She saw her Tori frown at her words. I might be kind and a bit naive, but I'm not ever going to forgive him. But she seduced him. I'm afraid his inability to control his penis around a seductress is no longer my concern. He hurt me. I can't ever forgive either of them. You say this now, but once he is free. He may be free, but she won't be, a deep voice spoke behind them, ending Tori's sentence with decisive firmness. Hello, love, I'm sorry I'm late. A warm kiss pressed to her cheek, coupled with the deep scent of spicy cologne with the soft words whispered in her ear, made her shiver. Play along. She turned her head a fraction and met the humor-filled ones of Isaias Machado, dressed impeccably in a dark suit with a crisp white shirt. She immediately felt the air get swept out of the room, or perhaps it was only her lungs. She looked around and noted every woman appeared to be gasping. No, it was the room. He was a gorgeous man. Her panties were dampening by the second. Machado, Trent's voice was barely controlled with his irritation. What brings you to our daughter-in-law's show? Liesel, did you not tell me you were divorced? I am very much divorced. She shot him an annoyed glance as his fingers rested on her shoulders. She looked at Jenka, who had moved to her side, out of Isaias's purview. Jenka mouthed, "Oh my fucking god!" and swung her hand as if it were on fire. Elsie was clutching her chest as if wearing pearls. She fought her laugh at their antics. Her friends were all in. She decided rather than punch him for assuming she was a damsel in distress, she half turned into his arm and wrapped her arm around his waist, stepping closer to him, and opted to kiss his cheek. Isaias, have you met Trent and Tori McGrath? They are my ex-in-laws and came to wish me well this evening. Liesel, Trent stared at her, can we talk outside of this room, please? Why? Anything you say to me will be repeated verbatim to my boyfriend. She felt his laugh rather than heard it. He wasn't balking at the boyfriend term. Good. He started it. She was going to run with it. Give an inch, take a mile. Tonight, she was playing by Sandy's rules. You don't know who he is. Yes, I do. Do you? He was one of my very first customers. She smiled up at him and her breath caught at the endearing way he was smiling back. He winked at her and kissed her forehead. He bought one of my pieces when I was still in art school. It hangs in my office to this day. We recently reconnected, and when I realized she was the woman who had painted the scene which inspires me every single day, I couldn't help but pursue her. He squeezed her hip tightly. I mean, talent, brains, and this stunning beauty. Your son was an idiot to let her go, but his loss is my gain. He grinned wickedly. It seems a pattern for him lately. You went after her to get to our family. I approached him actually. She snuggled into his chest. Damn, he was solid like marble. She had a strange urge to take up sculpting again and use his chest for inspiration. She rested her hand against his pec and resisted the urge to squeeze it. You what? Yes. In a restaurant. I saw him there and said hello. I couldn't resist. I soon recognized him as the buyer to my piece, and the rest was history. My mother has the other piece we purchased back then hanging in her den. She loves it. She'll be here soon. She was extremely excited to know you still paint. Why are you doing this, Machado? Trent glared at him. Liesel admitted she wanted to know as well, but the man simply gave a shrug and smiled. Only a fool would trade a diamond for dirty glass. When presented with such a gift, you don't let it slip away. You grab and hold on to it, and you never let it go. The strange emphasis on the word never had chills running up and down her spine. They were dark, ominous, and decidedly serious. As Janka and Elsie's eyes widened at his words, Liesel had a sudden realization maybe she'd bribed the wrong billionaire. Perhaps she was in over her head. Deeply. Trent looked on the verge of ready to pop. Terry appeared shaken. Liesel wondered whether they were all out of their ever-loving minds. "You cannot date this man," Trent hissed. "You cannot tell me who I date, Trent," she retorted with a raised eyebrow. "I am insisting you end this immediately." "Or what?" She was starting to get annoyed now. Despite it being a farce, the notion her ex-in-laws felt they had the right to tell her who she could or couldn't date felt the height of hypocrisy. "In case you forgot, as much as I love you, Terry, and I have nothing but love for you for accepting me into your family the way you did, your son had an 11-month-long affair with my sister during which he got her pregnant. Despite you telling me he ended our marriage to ensure his child is provided for according to his grandfather's will, it remains he cheated and got another woman pregnant. You both know his strong views on having a family. I wanted one. Desperately. He said not until he became CEO, and nobody, not even me, was ever going to stop him from reaching his goal. I gave up my dreams mostly at your encouragement, Terry, because I wanted him to succeed. The things you insisted a good wife should do to support her husband I did, but I won't ever forgive him. Getting divorced was the best thing to ever happen to me. Look around you," she waved at her art. "I've come alive again. I feel I'm me again. Look at my art." He supported your artistic endeavors. We all did. It's why we are here. Terry seemed perplexed. Liesel was not thrilled with the prospect of getting Merlin back. "No. You are here to deliver the little message you did. Merlin is doing all of this to provide for his child and work the loophole in a will. However, I repeat, none of it has to do with me. He never truly supported my art as a career. He supported me having a hobby. This is my life. My work. My legacy for a child I will have someday, and it won't be his. He only ever wanted what was best for you. Merlin McGrath only ever wanted what was best for Merlin McGrath, right down to how his wife looked on his arm. Yesterday, I went to the fair with my brother and his wife and daughter and rode the roller coasters and screamed like a banshee. I ate a caramel apple and there was nobody to make me feel bad about it. I haven't stepped on a scale since the day I threw his ass out of my house. I haven't even stepped on a treadmill. I went shopping for new clothes and bought what I wanted to wear tonight." She waved at her body dressed in a chic black pencil skirt, a bright flowery patterned silk blouse and 4-inch heels. "I can wear my heels because I don't have to worry about being almost as tall as my diminutive husband." "Diminutive?" Trent hissed angrily. "I mean, he's built okay, but his aversion to me being 5'10" in heels made him feel emasculated. I was allowed flats or 1-inch heels. Look at my legs in these." She kicked her leg out. She grinned when Isaias gave a low whistle at her movement. "Thank you. I'm proud of these. I ran on the street today, where people could see my boobs bounce in public." She made huge eyes as Terry flushed at the notion. "I was sweating in public. Merlin would be aghast. However, he is not my problem, and I don't want him back. My sister took my trash out for me. I say good riddance. Now, I can be amicable with you, or I can be mean. I've cut my own mother out until she comes to her senses. Do you really think I have any compunction to keep you in my life when your purpose here is to hold me down?" "I think you are forgetting we made," Trent started to hiss. She snapped her fingers and shook her head. "Nua, not today, Satan, not today. You did not do anything. I married a man I loved, and I lost who I am by being a step-forward wife. I owe you nothing. Not a damn thing. Please rethink this." Terry pleaded, looking between Liesel and Isaias. "Nothing good can come of it." "Multiple orgasms would be good," Isaias said with a smile even the devil would fear. She elbowed him for the comment, and she shook her head as Terry gasped at his crudeness. "Terry, Merle made his decisions and I have moved on." "This isn't over," Trent glared at him. "You can't take my son's wife." "I don't want your son's wife. By all accounts, she's a home-wrecking whore. I will, however, have immeasurable fun with this beautiful woman on my arm, who is not his wife." As Janka almost jumped up and down clapping, Liesel decided to end this as they were really drawing a crowd as more people arrived. Enough. I'm done with this conversation. You are better than this riffraff. Trent spat. I deserve better than to be cheated on by my husband and my sister. I deserve far more respect than this display from you both. This riffraff, as you called him, has never been anything but respectful in every conversation we've had. I think I'll take my chances here. She stayed firmly planted next to Isaias. A small round of applause at her words made her flush and remember they were very much being watched. Now, there are several of my favorite people in the world in this room. I really do want to spend time with them to reconnect in a way I haven't in years. I want to talk about my art and how proud I am of it. I want to celebrate being liberated from the confines of a marriage in which I was nothing more than a decoration. You are welcome to stay, but I would prefer you left. With that she turned on her heel and made her way to the outstretched hand of Janka. Janka clapped her hands and waved for the champagne to be passed around. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the short delay and interruption into the beginning of tonight's showcasing. My good friend and favorite employee, Liesel, has created yet another wondrous collection of her incredible talent. This set she has put out this evening for us is a deep dive into heartache, grief, pain, loneliness, but also love healing, restitution, and resolve. It is cathartic and brilliant and, she paused dramatically, also all up for sale. A twitter of laughter erupted around the room. Get your checkbooks out, my friends. Liesel is happy to discuss the art with you and I am happy to discuss pricing. Grab a glass of wine and mingle. Liesel watched with narrowed eyes as Terry and Trent exited the venue and turned her attention to the man who was approaching her again. He chuckled, if looks could kill, I would think I would be dead. She nudged her chin towards the painting in the center. I used my own blood for that one. I might be inclined to use yours on the next one. I'm not a damsel in distress who needs saving. Oh, I didn't do that for you. No? I hate Trent McGrath with a burning passion. I simply wanted, as my mother would say, to get his goat. I love it when he squirms. It makes my dick hard. She did not need to be thinking of his dick when she was trying to be angry. She blinked her eyes at him. Seriously? Yes. Did you want to touch to find out? She smacked his chest trying not to laugh. You're awful. And you are gorgeous. Come. Show me your etchings. He made wide playful eyes at her and extended his hand. I do really love sticking it to them. This was the most fun I've had in months. He was unapologetic with his smirk, since I stole Merlin's last contract actually. She shook her head and stared into his deep brown eyes, which despite the dark shade were light and happy. Terrible. We can be terrible together. By the way, the information in the acquisition I made last weekend was he kissed his fingers into the air, magnifique. I could easily be bribed to attend any of your shows for such things. I'll even pose for you. Nude of course. Oh my gosh, his commentary was making her blush, but as she laughed loudly for the first time in weeks, truly joyously expelling air from deep in her belly, it was also cleansing. His wicked sense of humor was lightening her soul. He was, she considered, exactly what she needed at this moment.